this 10th Delta Omega Public Health Society, Gamma Zeta Chapter induction ceremony. This is our 10th one since we launched our school as a School of Public Health at the University of Maryland, College Park. And I welcome you all to this auspicious and important ceremony. This is also the 8th annual recognition of Delta Omega Gamma Zeta Chapter Student Research Poster Awardees. And so we have a lot to be proud out of as a chapter. Oddly, this is our first virtual induction ceremony. We originally were supposed to have this induction ceremony this past spring, but obviously the world of COVID-19, the pandemic, and all its disruptions on our society have really sort of put a curveball in many of our plans. You know, I kind of look at this as a unique aspect of time and place. None of us wanted a pandemic, obviously. The death and the illness that is called, the disruption that it has caused in our society. Nobody asked for this, and yet in the midst of this, I think it's important that we, certainly as a public health community, learn from this, right? First of all, we begin learning about ourselves, right? And you know, this disruption, in addition to everything else going on in the world, right? The issues of the murder of George Floyd, the issues of racism, the issues of social disruption, of economic crises, tie that in with the climate change world. And we are now overburdened with things. But in the midst of crisis is a time, as I said, to reflect on who we are as individuals. What is our purpose in terms of making the world a better place? At the same time, we interact with others in a different sort of way, right? We're not in a room at the School of Public Health right now looking at each other. We're not here shaking hands or applauding each other in that personal venue. We've learned a little bit about how we function in the world, what we've lost and what we've gained through this pandemic. It's also our reflection of how we deal with our family members, right? The reality is that, you know, in the midst of all this, our functioning is completely different. How we are members of our communities, how we are members of a nation and of a globe. Certainly at this time, the visibility and the importance of public health excellence and leadership comes to a head, doesn't it, right? In the midst of the pandemic, the social unrest, I mentioned the climate change, public health leadership is critical. And what we're honoring today is public health leadership. Finally, I also want to acknowledge the fact that today is Veterans Day. November 11th is a day that we look at those who have served our nation in uniform and basically applaud them, right? Remember them for that service that's been given to, that sacrifice that's been given to the good of our nation. So let's acknowledge Veterans Day at the same time as we're acknowledging our public health leadership. Delta Omega's mission is to encourage and recognize excellence in practice, research, education, and academic achievement in the field of public health. This national society was founded back in 1924. So we are part of a legacy that in a few short years will be celebrating a full century of activity. The unique aspect of this honor society is that it's not only for students, not only for faculty, not only for alumni, but is a rich collective. It's the combination of what makes us a great school of public health. It's students, faculty, alumni, and honored guests, honorees. And within all these categories, right, we honor individuals each and every year. We bring back members of our society to be able to say, okay, where have we gotten to? What have we done in this past year? We also nominate this honorary member per chapter per year. And I'll be announcing that shortly. The honorary member possesses exceptional qualifications and has attained meritorious distinction in and devotion to the field of public health. So as we begin this program, I extend a special thank you to the leadership team who put this together. Dr. Britt Saxfig, Chapter President, Director of Communications and Marketing, Dr. Kathy Sharp, Director of the Inductee process, Dr. Marian Moser-Jones, Director of Research Posters. This team has aptly led the chapter for the past 3 years. It's an exciting time for our Gamma Zeta chapter, and I look forward to its continued growth. I also thank Dr. Dushanka Kleiman, Principal Associate Dean, who has advised our Delta Omega Gamma Zeta chapter, and I now welcome Dr. Kleiman to provide additional opening remarks. Dr. Kleiman.
Well, thank you very much, Dean Lushniak, and it's wonderful to join all of you. I've witnessed the commitment of our students, our faculty, and our engaged alumni and community members. And I have actually seen the growth of this chapter since 2011 when it was first established. And we have had leadership for this chapter, including students who have served as president, faculty that have served as presidents. So today we have 191 Delta Omega Gamma Zeta chapter members, and we're inducting many more today. So welcome. Our leadership chronology has included 4 previous leaders: Laura Wilson, Rachel Rosenberg Goldstein, Caroline Mortensen, and Graciela Jasek. And there's a lot of things the chapter has been doing. There's been this annual induction of students, faculty, and alumni. The chapter has been a very active co-sponsor of public health research at Maryland event, which was started in 2013 and grown in this annual event to about 700 or 800 people that have joined us from the Baltimore campus, but from universities throughout the state and the National Capital Region. And a centerpiece of this particular activity, also led by the chapter, is the hosting of the student research posters. So this is our 4th year that we have led this particular aspect and have also followed through with nominating the awardees of the Public Health Research Student Research Poster winners to the National Delta Omega effort, and we'll hear more about that. In fact, 2 of our Delta Omega Gamma Zeta chapter student research poster winners, Daniel Callow and John Salerno, were our School of Public Health nominees for the 2020 APHA Delta Omega National Student Poster Competition. That's an honor in and of itself. And then John Salerno was selected and presented his research poster just last month at APHA. And I also want to thank our leadership following Dean Lushniak's appreciation for them. They've done an awesome job in leading us and in making sure that we reach out and involve everyone. Marion Moser-Jones, Kathy Sharp, and Britt Saxvik. And I'm now going to turn this over to Dr. Saxvik. Thank you.
You think how many times you do a Zoom, and I forgot to do the mute. Thank you, Jashanka, and congratulations to all of our poster awardees and our new inductees. It's great and exciting to see such a diverse pool of inductees this year and every year. And the goal moving forward for our chapter is to raise and strengthen our chapter by creating opportunities for service and networking, and start building up those activities. I think COVID-19 kind of put a little damper on things when we weren't able to host the research posters at Public Health Research Day last year, but we have great and new exciting opportunities to look forward to in a virtual setting for this year for Delta Omega. And now I just wanted to introduce Marion Moser-Jones, who's going to start honoring the student research posters.
Just like you, I am still still working on Zoom literacy. Hi everyone, I'm Marion Moser-Jones, and as Britt said, the Public Health Research at Maryland Day. This is a huge annual event we have that Dushanka Kleinman and others have really shepherded through. Had to be canceled last spring. But fortunately, we still were able to have the student research poster competition, because there's many students who'd already submitted posters and who'd worked very hard on this. And so I am pleased to announce the student research poster awardees for Delta Omega for 2020. Elise Rosalie Acre, PhD from Health Policy and Management, who won for her poster, Disparities in Healthcare Access and Utilization at the Intersections of Sexual Identity, Gender, and Income. And then, excuse me, Daniel Callow, PhD in kinesiology, who won for his poster, Hippocampal Plasticity After Acute Exercise in Older Adults, a Diffusion Tensor Imaging Study. And Lauren Kaufman, MPH in Epidemiology and Biostatistics, who won for her poster, Home Neighborhood Walkability and its Association with After School and Weekend Physical Activity among Elementary and Middle School Students. And finally, but certainly not last, John Salerno, PhD in Behavioral and Community Health, Feeling Unsafe and Threatened, an Interpretive Phenomenological Analysis of the Sexual Health Needs of Lesbian and Bisexual Girls in Foster Care. And John was a 2020 National Delta Omega Student Research Poster Competition awardee, meaning he won at the national competition, which is at APHA, the American Public Health Association annual meeting. And at the business meeting, we were going to have John say a little something. Maybe, is it possible, John, if you're on, to actually say a little something about your experience at APHA and with being a national awardee?
Sure. I wasn't expecting to speak. Do you mean what do you mean in terms of my experience? Do you mean the new process of presenting during COVID-19, or was it something else?
Yes, the new process and your experience of just what it meant to go to APHA after you won here at Public Health Research at Maryland.
Sure. So I've only been to APHA once before. So it was a great honor for me to be nominated by Delta Omega and to be able to attend again. I was not expecting to win. I was nominated, and then I won the award. So it was a great honor. Thank you very much to Delta Omega. In terms of the process, I was actually really impressed with APHA. They had very detailed, very specific instructions and a lot of support for the presenters. I'm not going to say that I'm, super advanced with technology and just feel I can figure everything out. I definitely felt supported by APHA in terms of being able to present, and my presentation was actually pre-recorded. So yeah, I was very happy with the presentation process and also very honored to receive the award.
Okay, well, thank you so much, John, especially for speaking extemporaneously. And this just gets on, before I turn it over for additional awardees, to next year, this coming year, when we're going to most likely have a virtual poster session and sessions at Public Health Research at Maryland, and of course the winners will then be eligible for submission to this National Delta Omega competition. And we're very excited if you're a faculty member or you're a student member or an alumni member, that to have you participate, because we are learning from COVID and building upon this experience of virtual poster presentation, and to make it in some ways more available to all, since it's asynchronous, and also to recruit you as a judge as well. We will need judges. So, okay, with that, I will turn it over to Kathy Sharp.
Actually, it's Britt.
Britt, I'm sorry, to Britt.
Good. All right. Still muted.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're truly honored to induct everyone into the Delta Omega Gamma Zeta chapter today. During a regular ceremony, we would be calling you up to the front where you'd receive your certificate, stolen pin from Dr. Luzniak. However, this year, is very different since we are virtual. We will be contacting you after the ceremony to find out how you would like to have these items sent to you, either picking them up from the dean's office or we can mail them. But this is just a picture of some of the items that you will receive from the induction. So we'll begin with our 13 student inductees. The criteria for nomination of student inductees includes academic achievement, as well as leadership in public health and community commitment to service in public health. And our first inductees. So I apologize in advance if I mispronounce a name or if anything is mixed up on the slides. It's all on me. So Rosalie Acre is PhD in health policy and management. Dr. Roby wrote that Dr. Acre has impressive experience in health policy and health services research, working at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services on small business health insurance issues and Affordable Care Act implementation, as well as conducting high quality research in health equity, health policy, LGB healthcare access. And she also is has been a teaching assistant for SPHL 100 and an instructor for the Public Health Science Capstone. Our next inductee is Stephanie Bryant, who has an MPH in health policy and management. Or is working towards your MPH in health policy and management. Dr. Filati wrote that Stephanie is a high-achieving, proactive, and determined nominee. She's balancing academic and full-time professional activities. She's a founder and executive director of Unveil Your Crown Incorporated, an organization promoting community engagement, health and wellness, and education for young women. Her academic knowledge, coupled with community service and leadership, demonstrates her passion and commitment to the field of public health. Our next nominee is Andrea Dragan, MPH last year in behavioral and community health. Dr. Desmond wrote that Andrea was a part-time student, but was more engaged and involved on campus and in her program than most full-time students. She managed University of Maryland's IRB department, served on the University Senate, Office of Civil Rights and Sexual Misconduct, and the Behavioral and Community Health Graduate Student Advisory Board, all while working full-time and taking classes. And she recently completed on Jeopardy. I think it's her Zoom picture. Rosemary Ezoga is a PhD student in the Maryland Institute for Applied Environmental Health. And Dr. Payne Sturgis and Dr. Pewitt wrote that Rosemary served as a TA for both an undergraduate and graduate level course and was a research assistant, all while excelling in her doctoral studies. She published her first manuscript and presented her data last year at APHA. Our next inductee is Jenifer Fahey, who's a doctoral student in family science. Dr. Shanasa wrote that Jen directs the midwifery program at the University of Maryland, Baltimore Medical Center. Despite her heavy administrative teaching and clinical responsibilities, Jen has amassed an impressive record of peer-reviewed publications, active in several community and state-level public health organizations, and serves as an associate editor of the Journal of Midwifery and Women's Health. Our next inductee is Samantha Guarnieri, MPH from Health Policy and Management. Dr. Roby wrote that Samantha was a top MPH student in the Health Policy and Analysis program. She's a great example of a public health professional and recently accepted a position at the nationally known think tank consulting firm, the Berkeley Research Group. She hopes to contribute to health policy nationally and in the States by working in Washington, D.C. for the next few years and eventually transitioning to a policy role in a state legislature. Shay Hall is our next inductee. She is in MPH in Health Policy and Management. Dr. Roby wrote that Shay was a top student in MPH in Health Equity program and is a great example of a dedicated health equity researcher, having applied her skills to work with the Chase Brexton Clinic in Baltimore and a very impressive thesis topic focused on built environment and health disparities among the aging population. She hopes to contribute to health equity as a researcher, and her thesis work definitely supports that effort. Lauren Kaufman is our next inductee. She received her MPH in biostatistics from the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics. Drs. He and Nguyen wrote that Lauren has served as a tutor in the collaboratorium, a TA for an undergraduate course, and was on the executive committee for the Graduate Students in Public Health. She recently completed a Center for Drug Evaluation and Research Fellowship at the FDA, and faculty members in our department confirm her zeal for research and her initiative and timeliness. She has the potential to be a leading public health researcher in the field of social epidemiology. Our next inductee is Lucy Kavi from Maryland Institute for Applied Environmental Health. And Dr. Turner wrote that Lucy has been a TA for 2 undergraduate courses, is actively involved in 2 separate research projects with the Maya faculty, and has published 2 manuscripts, one as a first author and one as senior author, all while in her pre-candidacy phase. Lucy has been a very active team player through her research at Maryland, and based on her aptitude and willingness for hard work, combined with her stellar GPA, leave me no hesitation in supporting her in this nomination. Aziab Kidnow is the next recipient inductee. She received her PhD from Behavioral and Community Health. Dr. Clark wrote that Aziab managed the NIH FDA-funded Tobacco Center of Regulatory Science, which involved coordinating more than 25 scientists from 5 institutions across the country. She also influenced the success of many budding colleagues while teaching classes supporting curricular change, in addition to developing and teaching a new course. Dr. Yuki Lama, a graduate of the Family Science doctoral program, it was nominated by Dr. Quinn, who wrote that Dr. Lama excelled in research and sought out leadership opportunities and was considered a stellar teaching assistant for multiple courses. Dr. Lama was also a graduate lead on the Peru team for Public Health Without Borders, guiding the development of community-engaged research and health promotion programs for the group. Her goal for the next phase of her career is a fellowship in the federal government where she can contribute and further develop her research skills. Ana Peña Molina is an MPH graduate from the Epidemiology MPH program. Dr. Slopin wrote that her instructors have said that she is an excellent student and an asset to the classroom. Her capstone project included an analysis on the women's interagency HIV study, and she successfully defended her proposal last spring. Anna holds outstanding promise for achievement and distinction within public health. And our final inductee is Dana Reiss, PhD from Behavioral and Community Health. Dr. Cobra wrote that Dr. Reiss is extraordinary. Not only did she have a 4.0, and have a baby, not only is she among the first of her cohort to finish up, she has worked as a TA and an instructor and made significant service contributions to the department and received a Wiley Dissertation Award. In my opinion, she is the most focused and hardworking doctoral student I've ever had, and I have had some fine students in the past. So congratulations everyone for your induction into the Delta Omega Honor Society this year. And now I'm going to pass on to Dr. Sharp, who's going to introduce the faculty member inductees.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. The attendance is phenomenal because we're virtual and so many more people can participate. It's pouring rain. Nobody wanted to go out in the rain and come to campus today anyways. So anyways, welcome. All right, so I've got 4 of my colleagues who've been nominated for this year, and our faculty inductees have demonstrated outstanding public health performance in many different ways. It could be through scholarship, teaching, research, professional publications, etc. As we know, we do a lot more than those 3 or 4 things, as we all have multiple jobs. Anyway, so we have 4 this year. First up is Melvin Seale. He is an assistant professor and the director of graduate studies in health policy and management. And Dr. Ji Chen nominated him and said that he is a registered health information administrator and is certified in clinical coding classification systems. He teaches courses on healthcare management and healthcare finance and leads the internship capstone course. I actually work with Melvin. I see him every other week in our GPPH meetings. And I think he's been on campus about 2 years, and he's all in, and it's really a pleasure to work with him. So congratulations, Melvin. Next is Natalie Slopin. Natalie was nominated by Dr. Hanji Liu, and he said that Dr. Slopin is an assistant professor in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics. She has made significant contributions to the department in the areas of research, teaching, and services. Her research on social determinants of health is of significance to public health. As an extraordinarily productive researcher, she has secured internal and external research funding to support her studies and her students' participation in research. And I'd also like to congratulate and thank Natalie. She works with our teaching assistants who teach the biostatistics and epidemiology courses for our undergrad majors. So thank you very much, Natalie. Next up is Julia Steinberg. Julia is, Dr. Sandra Quinn nominated her and wrote that the nomination for Dr. Steinberg, she's an assistant professor in the Department of Family Science. Her research focuses on the intersection of psychology and reproductive health in the context of unintended pregnancy and mental health, and has become a highly regarded scientific expert in the field of abortion and mental health. Given the vital role of public health researchers and professionals in shaping policies that affect the health and well-being of our communities, Dr. Steinberg's contributions at this early stage of her career are extraordinary. She is also a dedicated teacher and mentor. Thank you very much, Julia, and congratulations. And lastly, we have Tracy Zeger, always at the end of the alphabet, always last, but first in my mind, I nominated Dr. Zeger. She just got her PhD in our department in May, virtual ceremony and all, so we still haven't had the big celebration, but we'll get there post-COVID. Dr. Zeger is a senior faculty specialist in the Department of Behavioral and Community Health. I wrote that Dr. Zeger received her MPH from our department in 2006 and has been a faculty member since 2011. Tracy holds two main roles. She's an undergraduate program director, so we work very closely, and she also is an instructor and teaches more classes than anyone would know. She teaches one of our professional development courses, which is really foundational to our students who are going off into their internships. That's her baby. She loves that class and does an outstanding job with it. And then she also teaches some of our electives. She is also the faculty advisor for Eta Sigma Gamma, which is the National Honor Society for Health Education. And she also manages our department website and social media platforms. She also does 4,000 other things, helping me with scheduling and everything. But Tracy's a workhorse as well, and congratulations. I'm now going to turn the program over to Marion Moser-Jones, and she will announce our alumni.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Everyone can hear me. Hopefully I'm not unmuted. I'm not muted again. If there's one thing we can learn, it's how to unmute this year. Okay, I am Marion Moser-Jones. I'm going to introduce our alumni inductees. And as with faculty and student inductees, alumni induction into Delta Omega recognizes outstanding contributions to the field of public health, but it also recognizes, this contribution outside of and after graduating. So our first alumni inductee is Maria DeMarco, PhD 17 and MPH 11. So she spent a good deal of time in our School of Public Health in epidemiology and biostatistics. Congratulations, Maria. Our second inductee, alumni inductee, is Kimberly Mitchell, PhD 14 from Behavioral and Community Health. And our third inductee is Priscilla Novak, PhD 19 from Health Policy and Management. And I will then turn that back over to Britt, I believe, to announce the honorary inductee.
Actually, I think it's me, right?
Boris.
And now our honorary inductee. Honorary membership is confirmed, and I'm quoting from our rule book here, upon persons possessing exceptional qualifications and who have attained meritorious distinction in the field of public health. I'm pleased to announce that our 2020 honorary inductee is Brian Feldman, Maryland State Senator, District 15 from Montgomery County. Brian J. Feldman represents the 15th Legislative District in the Maryland State Senate. He is the Vice Chair of the Senate Finance Committee and chairs its Energy and Public Utilities Subcommittee. Additionally, he's the Senate Chair of the Maryland Health Insurance Coverage Protection Commission and serves as a member of the Executive Nominations Committee and the Joint Committee on Legislative Ethics. He's also a member of the Maryland Economic Development Commission. Senator Feldman's tenure in the General Assembly has been distinguished by his successful sponsorship of legislation to promote Maryland's biotechnology sector, create green jobs while reaching renewable energy goals, advocate for individuals with developmental differences, and update and modernize Maryland's corporate, business, and insurance laws. In his role as the Senate's chair of the Health Insurance Coverage Commission, Mr. Feldman is at the center of the debate on health coverage for Marylanders and prescription drug pricing. Since 2019, he's been a member of our faculty. He has taught the course Developing and Implementing Health Policy in Maryland for the students in the Department of Health Policy and Management, and mentored several students to pursue careers at the state level. I want to say that I had a great conversation with him a few days ago. He is also, like me, a former Fed, served in the Department of Justice years ago, with an extreme repertoire and extreme diversity of experiences. And yet, what I most appreciate, on top of his service both to our nation and to our state, is his service to our own community. Right? We rely as a state-based land grant institution on volunteers to come in. And as I explained to him, part of what we really appreciate are people with his level of experience, right? Not necessarily purely in the public health field, but obviously taking his law background, taking his legislative approach, understanding policy, and bringing that to our students. And for that, I am most grateful, right? The idea of a practical approach in the classroom, but also part of the goal of Delta Omega is to make sure that we are nurturing, that we are training, that we are mentoring tomorrow's public health leaders. And it's through people like Senator Feldman that we get better and better at that all the time. So Senator Feldman, welcome to Delta Omega. We give you an opportunity for a few words here, sir.
Well, thank you, Dean. And you told me I had at least a couple of minutes, and as a politician, maybe I'll take a couple of minutes at least just to.
No, you have the microphone, sir.
Okay, well, let me thank you, Dean, and the entire School of Public Health team at the university. It's a great team for this induction. I also, let me say at the outset that the honorary inductees to the Gamma Zeta chapter of Delta Omega, the last 2 years are two individuals that I have partnered with, and they've been really critical partners in different ways with me in the subject of public health. And if I might just connecting the dots between myself and your inductees in 2018 and 19, just briefly, because a lot of the action in the public health space is happening at the state level, in all candor, not on the Hill. And that's something that I teach my students each week when I lecture to them that the action in the United States right now is in the 50 state capitals, not in the United States Congress when it comes to healthcare policy. But let me start by saying that last year's inductee, Delegate Jocelyn Pena-Melnick, who represents College Park, by the way, and is my co-chair on the Maryland Health Insurance Coverage Protection Commission, we created that in Maryland. And we've really been out front of the country, I would say, in the public health space. We created that in 2017 during the debate of repeal, replace of the Affordable Care Act. And so we created this commission, the first of its kind in the United States, to figure out what would we do if at that time the United States Congress repealed the ACA and replaced it. And that commission, which is now still in existence, has been a launching pad for some really cutting edge, first in the nation measures here in our state. And if I could just mention two or three, and again, this has been in partnership with Delegate Pena-Melnick. So we created the largest state reinsurance program in the entire United States of America, which has resulted in the last 3 years in our individual insurance market, actual decreases in the premiums for 3 straight years, which is really important right now because of the downturn in the economy. We've got folks losing jobs, they lose their employment-based health insurance, so they go to the exchange. And Maryland has led the nation, quite honestly, the last 3 years on that front. A second thing which we just rolled out this year is something called the Easy Enrollment Program, where for the first state in the nation that lets you, if you have no health insurance, you check a box on your state tax return. And that just started this year. And you identify that you don't have health insurance, and our exchange will figure out if you're eligible for Medicaid or eligible for tax credits. You may not even know you're eligible. And that has been wildly successful. This is the first year. We're still trying to figure out how many people have checked the box and now have health insurance for them and their families. And so popular and so bipartisan that now 20 states are looking to Maryland as a model. In fact, Colorado just passed a similar program just last month. And finally, I did also want to say on the Affordable Care Act front, having just watched the oral argument just yesterday, as a former Department of Justice lawyer, by the way, I took this year what we did, a bill that I put in with Delegate Pena-Melnick, we codified into Maryland law most of the consumer protections of the ACA, including those for pre-existing conditions, keeping your kids on your plan till age 26. So if the ACA is thrown out by the Supreme Court, in Maryland, you're going to be protected. We codified that into Maryland law, and other states are looking to Maryland for the lead on that front. So we're out front. We've been leading the nation. A lot of it's been in collaboration with Delegate Pena-Melnick, who you gave this induction honor last year. And then secondly, 2 years ago, you gave it to a gentleman, Mark Luckner. And Mark and I collaborated for many years at Johns Hopkins teaching a public policy class. And I didn't want to do it anymore, in all candor. So last year in 2019, this university approached Mark and said, hey, you want to teach a healthcare policy class? And I'm like, I really, frankly, not sure I really want to get back into this world. But he persuaded me to do so. I'm so happy he did. We had a great class last year, and I liked it so much that I signed up again this year. Of course, the class is Wednesday nights. I'll be teaching tonight. And maybe I'll tell my students about this ceremony, but it's obviously the Zoom experience has been very different. But what I love about it is it really lets me, that synergy between, my Annapolis world and the classroom. And I want to thank Mark, who now we're bringing that policy course here to the School of Public Health. I also want to just say that it was great to hear your student inductees. Some of those inductees have been students of mine, and without calling her out, one of them said that they got a job on the Hill. This is my student from last year, but that her ultimate goal after she does her VC time is to find her way to a state legislature. That was Samantha's first name, one of my favorite students from last year. So clearly, I think that my message about the actions in the states and not in Congress, at least to Samantha, it made its way, and I'm glad to see that she got inducted today. So let me just, in closing, say that this partnership I just described with Delegate Pena-Melnick and with Mark Luckner, two great partnerships, but now I really say this in all sincerity, I feel that I have a new relationship, a new partnership with the School of Public Health that I hope is enduring. And again, it's been a great experience. And so with that, I just want to thank the university for this honor.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator. And thank you for being part of our team. And it is that level of satisfaction, isn't it? When, you have that influence in the classroom and you already see sort of the successes of that. And, going to, focusing now on our awardees and inductees, there is a responsibility that comes with membership in Delta Omega. And that responsibility, as I mentioned earlier, is based upon this idea of leadership, right? You have proven yourselves at this stage of your career, whether you're faculty, whether you're students, whether you're alums, and whether you're even in the honorary category of being a member of this honor society. But that puts upon our shoulders a further obligation. The work doesn't stop now. right? All of you have the opportunity now to put something new on your CVs. There's an addition there that looks really good. But this is not just the CV. This is real work. And what an incredible time for us to be living through. As I mentioned on more than one occasion, none of us wanted a pandemic. None of us wanted the death of George Floyd. None of us wanted the economic collapse around us. But this is the time where leadership is called upon and where leadership can shine. So thank you to our Delta Omega leadership team, to Marion Moser-Jones, Britt Saxvig, Kathy Sharp, Riel Merchant, Dushanka Kleinman. What a wonderful program this has been, and the transformational third year for me as Dean for our society. To our students, faculty, and honorary inductee, we again extend our congratulations to you. Your efforts have identified you as excellent students, faculty, community partners who are in essence committed to doing public health good. And I, as Dean, and our whole community could not be more proud. To the current School of Public Health leadership and Delta Omega members attending today, thank you for your continuing engagement and for your support of these fantastic honorees. And I extend my thanks and congratulations to you as well. Due to your efforts, these honorees have enriched the School of Public Health community and obviously beyond just our community in College Park. And we thank you for allowing us to share in their growth. And again, the ceremony is over. Let's celebrate, and then let's get to public health work. So thank you all for being part of this, and to next year.